stove, and he'd have the play mat out. He'd have the kids there, so when his wife came home, she took off her coat, they could jump in, they reconnect as a family, then have dinner, go through their usual routine. Except for tonight. He has dinner on the stove, play mats out, playing with the kids, he's holding his daughter. The wife comes in, and she looks, she goes, "Why are you touching her like that?" Honey, what are you talking about? I'm just playing my daughter like I always do. Don't touch her like that! Put her down! Get out of here! I'm calling the police! I'm gonna chase out. You'll never see these kids. She's like, wait, he's like, wait, honey, what are you saying? Now, remember, I'm still a cop back then. So as he's talking, I'm thinking. So when he finishes, I said, let me ask you a question. Was your wife ever molested as a child? Deacon, why would you ask that? We've been married for 10 years. We knew each other for several years before that. We have 2 kids. We have a normal sex life. This is never, what are you talking about? I said, here's what I think is going on. I think that your wife, you got married, everything was fine. You had your kids, everything was fine. Until your daughter got to the age where she was first molested. And for whatever reason, tonight, she walks in, and the way you hold it, that triggered a memory of something that happened to her that she's now transferring onto you. And he said, what are you talking? And he's confused. I said, okay, look, you got her parents' number in your phone? Yes. Call it right now. Put it on speakerphone. So he did. He calls. Let the father-in-law answer the phone. He goes, Dad, it's me. He quickly tells him what's going on. Because I'm here with Deacon Harold. Not to take her name, was she ever molested? Dead silence on the other end of the phone. In fact, it was so quiet, he thought his father-in-law hung up. Dad? Finally. Yes. She was molested by the boyfriend of a babysitter. When we found out about it, we got it stopped, and it was the family secret. So now this family secret has destroyed this man's life. Because what do you think happened next? They go to court, and I'm there. She gets up, a respected attorney, walks in front of the judge and says, Your Honor, at this date and at this time, I walked into my address at Thunderduck Avenue, Portland. Here is what I witnessed. And I'm thinking, oh, he ain't got a chance. And so think about it. Her word against stay-at-home dad. Oh, he lost the privilege of seeing his kids. Oh, she got her restraining order. And he was charged and put on the sex offender registry. Last I heard, he is no longer living in Portland. He wasn't from Portland originally. He moved to be with her. Last I heard, he was living with his parents. His whole life was ruined because his wife failed to deal with an issue from the past. If something happened to you that caused you tremendous pain and you're trying to suppress it, don't do it. Feel it! Don't bring it up! If you have to cry, then cry. If you have to scream, then scream. Don't bring it to the surface so God can truly begin to heal it. It's painful, I know. You don't want to remember. But that's the only way you're seriously going to begin to deal with whatever is you're still holding on to that anger and resentment. That's the first step. The second step. We cannot adequately deal with the pain in our life until we defeat the Goliaths in our life. Now, y'all remember the story of David and Goliath. Now, the Philistines and the Israelites are about to fight. They're about to throw down. Philistine, by the way, in Hebrew, means the people of the sea. So they're about to throw down. Instead of all the fighting and bloodshed, Goliath comes out and says, look, let's not waste all this ammunition and all this. Let's do this. I'll represent the Philistines. You send someone from Israel to fight me. If I win, you're our slaves. If you win, we're your slaves. And he began to mock and ridicule the armies of God. And what was Saul's response? When he heard Goliath's charge, he says, when Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Why were they so afraid of Goliath? Well, let's take a look at the dude. 1 Samuel chapter 17, starting in verse 4. And there came from the camp of the Philistines a champion named Goliath the Goth, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So a cubit is 18 inches. A span is half a cubit or 9 inches. Do the math. He's 2.97 meters tall. 9 feet, 9 inches tall. Big dude. He has a helmet of bronze on his head. He is armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. He had greaves upon his legs, a javelin of bronze slung between his shoulders. So he's decked out. Let's talk about the mail. Mail is like, you ever see those King Arthur movies that have the metal outer armor? But when they take that off, they have this kind of silvery, meshy, fish scaly type of armor underneath. That's called mail. They said the weight of his coat was 5,000 shekels. Now, 1 shekel is 0.4 ounces. So do the math, 125 pounds. So a 9 feet, 9-inch dude with 125 pounds of armor can walk it up on you? You're going to be scared. But the real question is this. What is the Goliath in your life? What is it that has you so scared as you sit here right now that you're paralyzed, that you're stuck? See, sometimes as Catholics, when we get stuck, we get comfortable. If we want to take our relationship with Christ to that next level, we got to get uncomfortable. So what is your Goliath? Is it the rape? Is it the drugs? Is it porn? What is your Goliath that has you shaking your boots right now? Now, how do you defeat that Goliath? David shows up. Now, David's just a teenager. Why is he even there? He was there because he was home with the sheep while his brothers were fighting. Eliab, Abinadab, Shammah, his brothers were fighting in the war. His father wants intel on how things are going. So go bring these food to your brother. Tell me what's going on. So David goes to the front lines and he hears, remember, when Goliath issued the challenge, he issued it twice a day for 40 days. David shows up on day 40. That's a very interesting number, isn't it? That number shows up a lot. 40 days and 40 nights in the ark. Israel, 40 years in the desert. Moses getting commandments on Mount Sinai for 40 days. Jesus, before he begins his public ministry in the desert for 40 days. 40, 40, 40, 40. That number is the number of gestational weeks in a pregnancy. For Israel, 40 represented a time of trial, of testing, and of waiting. Because after 40 days, weeks, or years, God is going to do something. So David shows up on day 40. He hears Goliath issue the challenge. And he says, are we going to stand here while this uncircumcised dog mocks the armies of God? Who's going to do something? Not me, not me, not me, not me, not me, not me. David's like, I got this. So he goes to Saul. Saul, I want to fight Goliath. Saul's like, here. David said, I ain't got no time for that. Well, let me tell you, yeah, am I just a kid? Yeah. Am I just a shepherd? Yeah, but I tell you this. When the lion and the bear came and they took the one of those sheep, I left the other sheep behind and went after the one. Oh, doesn't that sound familiar? Didn't Jesus talking about leaving the 99 behind and went after the one? That's why one of Jesus' titles is Son of David. David said, when I caught that lion or that bear, I took the sheep out of its mouth. If that lion or bear tried to turn on me, I smoked that lion. I killed that bear. I'll do the same thing to this Philistine. Saul's like, your funeral. So David makes his only mistake. He puts on Saul's armor. Listen to this description and tell me who he sounds like to you. This is David now. He put a helmet of bronze on his head. He clothed himself with mail. He girded a sword over his armor. Who does he sound like to you? Goliath! And what did he say? He goes, David said to Saul, I cannot go out with these. I'm not used to it. He took them off. Why? Because David understood you cannot defeat the Goliath in your life with the weapons of man. So what does he do instead? He takes his shepherd's staff in his hand. And he goes to the brook. And he gets 5 smooth stones. And he puts them in his shepherd's bag or his wallet with a sling. And he moves toward the Philistine. So he reaches into his shepherd's bag or his wallet. And he pulls out a sling and 5 smooth stones. A sling and 5 smooth stones. Now, if you understand biblical typology, in other words, how images in the Old Testament are pointing toward the New Testament, I think David defeated Goliath with a type of rosary. The sling, and if you look at the Our Father beads, right? Each of the 5 joyful, sorrowful, luminous, glorious mysteries of the rosary. Or each of the 5 wounds of Christ. David understood you can only defeat the Goliath in your life with the weapons of God. And we Catholics have an arsenal. Pick one. My goodness, we have the rosary. We have the chaplet of divine mercy. We have novenas from here to next week. The one I've been praying for the past several months is the Surrender Novena. I have to meet my Archbishop every year because of television, all the stuff that I'm doing. I have to meet with him to make sure I'm not going nuts, right? So after our meeting this year, he goes, you know what, Deacon? I'm going to give you something. I've been praying this novena, and I finished the 9 days, I just start over. And I just start again. I've just been praying it constantly. I said, I've heard of a ton of novenas, but the Surrender, I've not heard of that. So he gave me a copy of it. What? It is powerful. You're not in your head. You're familiar with it? Man, I've been praying that thing constantly since the day I left the Archbishop's office. It is awesome. And the 10 petitions that you prayed at the end of the novena, Lord Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. I love that. Lord Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care. Look, we have Eucharistic adoration. What? There's no way Goliath can beat you with the weapons that he gave us. Are you kidding me? There's no way. So pick one and fight. Now what happens is, when you finally have the courage to face your Goliath with your spiritual weapon in hand, whether it's the rosary, adoration, whatever it is, Goliath is going to try to turn on you. Look what happened to David. He sees David walking toward him. What does he say? And the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? He's insulted. They sent a little boy to fight me? What do you think your Goliath is going to say? Let me see if I've got this straight. You think you can beat me with your rosary? you to go to the cross. He wants you to stay comfortable. He wants you to stay stuck. What was David's response to God? I love this kid. David says, you come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, literally Hebrew, Yahweh Sabaoth, who you have defied. So what does David say? I come to you in the name of the Lord. My brothers and sisters in Christ, what do we say over every holy sacrifice of the Mass? Blessed is he who? We say at every Mass what David said to Goliath. There's no way Goliath. And where's he going? So David continues. Let me tell you how this is going to go down, brother. You ain't going to beat me. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to cut your head off. And I'm going to leave your body out there for the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. That all